this tutorial, we'll be implementing the unit tests to test the functionality of the web services integration and the view model. Within your SwiftUI project, create a new unit test by clicking on File, New, and then Target. And then you just enter the name unit test. And now we need to select the unit testing bundle, which is this one here. Click on Next. You can keep the name, or you can rename it if you want to. I'll just keep it as tutorial test. But if you wanted to, you could call it dependency injection test. Click on Finish. And then within your tutorial test, or your folder that includes your test, open up your test file, your unit test file. And then delete everything in the file except from line 8. So delete all of this. So the purpose of the test is that we need to test the functionality of the people list view. So we'll be creating a test called test populate people success test case, and that will verify if the people list view class can correctly fetch and process data from a web service. When the service returns a successful response, it checks whether the view model initializes with a mock web service, and it also checks if it successfully populates a list of people, and then it verifies that the populated data is correct in terms of the number of people and their properties. For example, the properties such as ID, title, and name. So that's the test that we'll be creating. So the first thing we need to do is include our target or our project that we want to test. So in my example, the project name would be tutorial. So on line 10, just enter or type in at testable import tutorial. So what that line does on line 10, it imports a module containing the target code to be tested. And now we need to create a class. So just type in class people list view model test XC test case. Next thing we need to do is to create an array of people view model objects var people equals people view model So that variable will hold an array of people view model objects. And the next thing we need to do is to create a mock web service class. So just type in class mock web service, which will inherit from our protocol, web service protocol. Var should succeed equals true. And the next thing we need to do is to create a function that will fetch the actual people from the array. Yeah, so we need to include these stubs. So to include the stubs, you can just click on the fix. So now we need to create our JSON data that will hold the mock data to represent an array of people objects. So just type in let JSON data equals and then we need 2 more commas there. And then on lines 21, we need to create the actual JSON object array. So that's for one record, which is there. And now we have to add our attributes or key value pairs. ID 1, title Mr. Name, that's another key, and the value logged with 2 G's and an S at the end, and then put a comma, and then we just copy and paste this to create another record. So that's the first record, this will be the second record. For the ID, leave it 2. For the title, it's Mr. For the name, include thread. And then we create our final record. For the ID, give it 3. Title, ABC. Name, ABC. And then delete the comma on line 40. And then on line 42, type in data. dot UTF-8 and then force unwrap it. And then line 46, that variable, just move it so that it's after line 16. Just move it anywhere here. And then what we need to do now, we need to decode the JSON data into an array of people objects. So to do that, we need to do that after line 44. Type in let people equals try JSON decoder decode people dot cell and JSON data. So what that's going to do is going to enable the test to decode all the data so that the test can retrieve the actual attributes such as the ID, title and name. And then type in return people and then the next thing we need to do is we have to move this up a bit. And then we need to create a method. And the name of this method is actual test. That's called test populated people success. Function test populate people success. Async need a sync for threading for the background. And then create an instance of the mock web service. Let mock web service equals mock web service. And then the next thing we need to do is to initialize our view model. So that would be let view model equals people list view model. Mock web service. Now we need to add some error handling and catch, although we're not using a catch statement. Next thing we need to do is fetch and populate the people using the view model and assign the result to the self.people array. So just type in self.people equals try await view model populate people. So the first thing we'll be checking for is, does the array hold the correct number of people? So to do that, just type in etc assert equals self.people 3. And this test, it should be successful because there's 3 elements in the array. Because this is the first element, as in a record. This is the second record, and this is the third record. Oh yeah, missed out count, so it should be self.people.count. So if I test this now, this test here, or this function of the test here, which includes this etc assert equals method, that should be successful. So I'll just test it now to make sure that it's working. And if it works, you should see green here and green here in a diamond shape. Show the debug. Just compiling at the moment. It's still compiling. Just trying to run the test. Yeah, the computer's a bit slow. Still trying to run the test. As you can see, the test finally executed and they have passed. As you can see, it's got a green tick here and a green tick there. So to make the test fail, I could just change this to 1, so that will fail, because the array includes more than one record. So if I run it again, you'll see that will fail. Just compiling at the moment. Well, that should have failed. There must be a mistake there. Let me do it again. I think I know what the problem is. Missed out a bracket, a closing bracket, after line 42 to close the JSON payload. So that should be there. So let's try that again to see if it fails, because now it should fail. Yeah, that's good. That fails. As you can see, there's a cross there, and it's red, and that's red as well. So to make this line pass, just change it to 3 again, and then rerun it. And you can see it passed. And that's how you run the test. Just click on the triangles, the green triangles. or the grey triangles to run it. And then, so the next test that we will do is to check to make sure the title property is working properly. So just do the same thing, etc assert equal, and then type in self dot people. Now let's do the ID first, open bracket 0, ID is equal to 1. So what we're checking for is that there's an error there, just delete this bracket. So we're checking to make sure that the ID property can be read correctly. So the value that it's expecting is 1 for the ID for this record. Because the array element that we're looking at is the first element, which starts at 0, which is this one here, starts at 0, which is this record here. This is all 0, the first record, which is 0, and this is the second record, which is 1, and this is the third record, which is 2 in the array. So I'll just see if that test works. That should work. It should be successful as well. I'll just run it. And it read the ID property correctly. So now we can just do the other two properties, which are title and name. So I'll just copy and paste it from here, just to save the typing, and type name there. Oh no, title there. And for the title, we're checking to make sure that it's Mr. And then we do the same thing for the name. Just make sure the name has blogs. Run the test. All the tests are successful. But just to check it one more time, I'm going to change the values to something else that's not in the test. So I'm going to make sure that the name fails. I'm just going to put an X there. Blogs X. As you can see, we don't have any name that has blogs X. We have blogs, but there's no X there. So that one should fail. So that test should fail. Yeah, and it fails. So now just rerun it so that it passes again. And that's a pass. Thank you for joining us. If you found this tutorial helpful, please comment, like and subscribe. See you next week.